In this lecture, we'll discuss about VLSI interview question for fresher level based on verilog. It is applicable to both DV and RTL. Okay, even for FPGA also. And first, for the question, I am giving explanation, because if I simply tell the answer, you may by heart. If I explain, you can understand the answer. So if you can understand the answer, you can present in your own way. You cannot forget. Okay, you can get the subject also. So first I will explain, then I will tell the answer straightforward. That same answer you can deliver in the interview. Okay. So the question is, why wire for the inputs in any design code, if you see, whether it is a behavioral, structural, data flow, gate level, okay, for any design style, inputs will be wire. Input ports. If you take output ports, only in the behavioral style we are writing reg for the outputs. In gate level, in structural, in data flow, for the outputs also we are writing wire only. So here I am taking the reference as behavioral. Okay. So the question is, why wire for the inputs and reg for the outputs in the behavioral style. Okay. And one more thing, in all behavioral styles, for output ports you may not see reg. Suppose if I am using some temporary variable, that variable if I write in procedural block, in that procedural block, if that temporary variable there at the left hand side of the statement, then I will write reg for that variable. If there is no temporary variable and if I am using that output port in the procedural block in the statement left hand side, then I will write reg for that output port. Okay, right. So anyhow the question is, why wire for the input ports and reg for the output ports. Okay, that is the question. So see here, this is some DUT, nothing but it is writing in behavioral style design code. These are the inputs, these inputs are wire, and these are the outputs, these outputs are reg. Okay, for example, I take in a D flip flop. It will contain input to D, input clock. This is the data input, this is the control input, and this is the data output. Okay, so here for this D and clock I will write wire input ports, but for this Q I may write reg. Okay, if it is existed in the procedural block at the left hand side of the statement. Okay, so here why I am writing reg for this. Okay, suppose until getting next output, it has to store the present output. That is the intention. This Q has to store the present output until getting next output. Suppose already it contains some output. Now I am giving my input. Okay, based on this input at this clock edge I may get output. So until getting that output, it has to store the present output. To store that present output, it should be a reg. That's why output should be a reg in behavioral style. Okay, suppose we generally write, not only write sequential circuit in behavioral, we write combinational circuits also. You may think for sequence circuit storage needed, that's why I am writing reg at output, and for combinational circuit storage is not necessary. But even for combinational circuits we have to write reg for the outputs. With that output variable, if you mention in the procedural block left hand side of the statement, even for combinational circuit, for output ports you need to write reg. So that reg is not meant to whether it is a combinational or sequential. If it is a behavior style, you need to write reg for the output ports. Okay, this is not about sequential need storage and combinational no need storage. This is not about that. Okay, here what is the intention I told? Until getting next output I have to store this present output. Like that, here also in combinational also, until getting next output, this has to store the present output. For that only we have to represent, even for combinational also output should be rich. Okay, right. Now we'll take another styles like gate level, data flow, structural also. Okay, in these styles mostly we write combination circuits only in these styles. Okay, so inputs will be wire and outputs also wire. Suppose if you write sequential circuits also in data flow or structural gate level, outputs will become wire only, input and outputs. Even for sequential circuit you won't get reg in data flow structural gate level. Okay, so here there is no intention like until getting next output I need to store the present output. That intention here not there. Here only there. It is there in behavioral style only. Okay, so anyhow, the question and the straightforward answer is why inputs are wire and outputs are reg, input output ports, in behavioral style. Okay, so because outputs are reg, until getting next output I need to store the present outputs. That's why output ports are reg in behavioral style. Okay, input ports you no need to store like that, na. Okay, right.